It is December 24th, 2023, and this is my connecting time. It's a way that I was taught and evolved over time. And it was shown to me from within. A somatic, connecting, ecstatic message that showed me the great importance in speaking our feelings out loud. In this world of increasing judgment around feelings, it's because if we were to make those feelings conscious, it would change us, it would transform us. And I recently found one of the very first recorded messages. And, it was kind of reiterating that most humans don't even know how terrified they are of the light. So they make fun of it to mask that terror. And I took it personal, years back when I was judged. I was criticized for, being the love and lighter because I spoke of love and ecstasy and the information that comes in the ecstatic states, the knowing. And this isn't just some magical, gift to me. It's, as is the case in many who experience connection in this way, part of the job, if you will, part of the dharma after these experiences is to share it if you have the courage. And I had a very slow-moving evolution over my lifetime. And those who are familiar with me, I've definitely shared this, my story too many times. I've got the book and I think the podcast, Translating Infinity, which was just more like an audiobook. I feel that's captured most of how this all happened and how it's continuing to evolve. That can't be captured in a book anymore. It's moving too fast. And so recently I've had an inspiration. Well, it's not recent. It's been coming. As these messages do, they start dropping in, In the past it drops in like a year or two ahead of when it's actually going to manifest. And I think that's so fascinating. And I talk to other experiencers and they just kind of light up and go, "Oh my God, I thought I was the only one that noticed that." I love talking to other experiencers. I'm sorry, I don't have a better word for those who have been touched by or connected to something of a higher frequency nature that helps us entrain to open up more of our awareness and consciousness. That's the nutshell version. The thing is nobody in the ufology community wants to hear it. In fact, it's like these groups, they get entrained to, abide by and with these personalities that, it's the masculine take on contact experiences. And I don't care what gender you are, if you're taking a masculine approach, you're missing quite a bit, I feel, from my experiences and others I have connected with. Not too many, I'll tell you. There's no big business happening here. Just a dedication to, creating the space for people to share and grow together, because it's just too hostile to try and make a connection in regular social media. I have found, and the decision to leave most of the social media I was connected to was not from my thinking mind. It was a knowing. It's time to pull back. And that has been it was such a great piece of guidance. Because I'm no longer seduced into the trying to fit or speak in the right words. I'm free to express and be, and it's a very lonely place to be with divine feminine wisdom. It's a very lonely place to be with anything that is actualizing. I don't have the mental masculine authority voice, so it's invisible, mostly. And there's also this absolute hatred for women. I'm only speaking about the United States. I can't speak about other countries and regions. There certainly is evidence everywhere that women are not to speak with authority. And we have centuries upon centuries of training to keep our voices subdued or be okay with just not speaking at all. And I don't have that in me, that not speaking at all thing. I find myself getting into trouble. And not in a way that you might think. I am never forcing anything on anyone, and I speak in this tone when I speak. But what happens when a woman has an embodied form of enlightenment? It is, first of all, not recognized by this reality, this equation of reality. And if it's not recognized, then it's very difficult to find a mirror. You have one side of the divine, filling the form and informing truths, and then the other side is, well, let's see, how do I translate this? Head scratcher. Let's see, how do I let people know that within them, within their form, is a way to fully come back online. And that's what we're doing. We're becoming more and more human than we thought human was, right? That's what's happening first. That's what these messages have said, that sure, there is an evolution project going on. But first, we have to restore our natural state and abilities before we can evolve further. We're not using, what we have. And that's, we could talk about all the different reasons why that is. And even in the messages, it's this intelligence that blends with me in that whole state. They're not interested. I say they, but it's really not a they. It's a field of perspectives, and I am one of them. I am one of the perspectives in this connection with this flow of information. But it's not necessarily, I have to laugh, it is definitely not popular. And it took me a long time to really fully figure that out. Like, oh, this is never going to be popular. This is never going to be a business, where I am the one you come to classes and I will teach you these ways. It doesn't work like that. No, well, sure, I'm in this world, so I need some form of exchange, currency, sustenance. And that has been one of the greatest challenges of this life, is trying to stay alive here while all of this is going on. So the divine side of things is, it's going splendidly. Finding ways to flow. This light wants to flow through us into the world. And wow, you find that you have way more power and strength and courage than you originally thought. But and it's terrifying to say things out loud. I've had lots of practice over the years, but to say things that absolutely challenge and threaten individuals. They get so scared of the craziness of what you're saying because, at its core, what's really happening. See if I can explain this properly. I have these gifts of sight and feeling that opened up and continue to open. It's always an evolution. There's no in the masculine way of enlightenment, it's boom, I am enlightened and now you must come and seek wisdom from me and take care of all of my needs. That doesn't work for women who have ecstatic awakening experiences, and then the project, if you will, is to continue healing and releasing and opening the vessel for love to pour through. And And what happens when others begin to perceive it is there's an absolute threat. They don't know why they don't like you, but they just don't like you. This has happened my whole life, and it's even happening now in my work as right now I'm the youth counselor at an addiction recovery agency. And I have visions, I have guidance about how to work with people who have been cracked open in this way. And it's too out there, but I'm guided. And it's a little tough trying to find openings to flow into. And the thing about it is, you just keep moving, it's like you go where there's openings. If you, anyone listening to this, if you feel the flow and you're in your work or just in your everyday life, if you feel that connection and flow happening through you, it's really important that you don't judge yourself if people refuse it or are not interested. We are not attached. We have no expectations. We just listen to the hum of source flowing. And it's like this. It's too aggressive to say a heat-seeking missile, but it's searching through us. It's to hone in on someone who needs help, someone who needs to hear something in that moment. And if it's not happening, it's like water. It just, there's a bit of a dam here that's preventing and pushing away the flow. And so you just keep moving and listening, and you know what you need to know in the exact moment that you need to know it. And you just keep moving until, these synchronicities will start to happen more and more, where you're having meetings with people who actually want to feel this because they have ignited something within themselves that they find a familiarity with those of us who are kind of representing love here. And it's a thankless job most of the time, but sometimes, when a connection is made, it is the most extraordinary feeling of fulfillment. I've been looking for this sense of fulfillment my whole life. The divine side is fine, that connection, and it's always growing and changing, and I love it. I'm in flow with that. I'm definitely having some flow issues into the world. I should put that in past tense because things are flowing better now. And it is a timing thing. I think there was a comment on one of these other travelogues about timing, and it really is. I just want to say, if you're one of those like me and you're relating and finding familiarity with this heart resonance, feminine wisdom, it's that we're connected. We can feel the earth and all of humanity. And we're not operating in, individual ego. It's, we're transcending that, or ego is shifting to its proper space to be in service to the heart. I should put it that way. But it is about listening. So it's like you're listening to a legion of angels who are on it. You're working in synergy, in coherence with all the other helpers. And so it's not about, I'm going to make this project and I'm going to be famous and people are going to know the truth. Some helpers use these systems. It's not that they're bad and wrong and don't do it. It's that each one has a path, and each one is meeting, their population of people, human beings who, whatever phase they're in at this point. It's anything from just dropping a seed that you can't be attached to, even if it makes them mad. Which, this energy and this presence definitely makes people mad because they've been hiding this mother light within them for so long. I mean, I'm talking ancient. Shoving, and some people say, oh, well, that's Gnosticism. Well, so be it. If it's Gnosticism, you can call it that. I'm having a direct connection and flow. And I don't care what you want to call it. I want you to know that you have access to this too. And there is centuries, I don't even, would you say eons, of ignoring the mother, suppressing the mother part of our consciousness, which is, physiological as well. It's aspects of the brain. It is in the heart, the gut. It is in the core. And you will feel this ecstasy if you're willing to say, well, it's pretty clear that this way of being with this equation of consciousness doesn't work. You cannot eliminate part of an important aspect of your consciousness, the way you were designed. You can't just pretend it's not there. It will erupt all around you. It will be visible in the external world, especially in these end of cycle, beginning of new cycle times, the new sun in the Mayan cosmology. Yeah, it's just like, okay, we're done. Let's assess, it's like this universal field is going, who's with me? Who's vibrating with me? Who is remembering and rising now? There's a lot that comes through the messages about, those kinds of beings that have, all they've done is simply take advantage of human beings with limited consciousness. If you eliminate the mother, they found, if you eliminate, or we probably already came that way, with who needs the mother? Who needs this? Let's just get serious and let's just, be intelligent and intellectual and logical and that's the way to live. Well, it's not. It's unbalanced. And when things are unbalanced, you get feedback. And then you can choose differently if you're paying attention. So what I found with these experiences that evolved from, initially it was like ETs, or, it's like, what is this? What's happening? Initially quite terrifying, as many of you know in my accounts of my life. But it's evolving. It has been evolving. And there are times when someone will send me a video of, listen to this guy, they're talking about what you talk about. And I'll take a listen, and it's like, if a guy says these things, they have more permission to do so. If a woman says these things, then you're just, like I think I said in the last recording, you're just the crazy lady. A guy has authority in this reality, at least has had authority. But the more that we embody this enlightenment and listen and flow into the world, whether you are I don't care what your gender is, open to this divine feminine restoration of your consciousness. And that's how you bring balance. I don't know one moment to the next. Seriously. I don't have, as people say, I don't have the manual for how this end of cycle works. I just know that I am connected to this love, and it informs me and helps me walk in the world and be and do. But then, I think I was leading up to this before, but then you find people that get angry at who you don't even have to say anything. They just hate you when you walk in the door. And in my human design, I'm a 5/1. If anyone knows about human design, and I laughed when I first read what a 5/1 experiences and how they are in the world, and it was so spot on. People project onto me. They either really, like when I was a singer, songwriter, there were people who just, I could feel the projection of, that I'm something special. And, that made me uncomfortable. But equally as uncomfortable is when people project, what I imagine is all the unhealed wounds with their own mother, or lifetimes of unhealed wounds with their mother. It's just uncanny, the projection that occurs. And so it makes navigating this world very challenging, And the lessons I feel are, at a certain point, one has to say, okay, I've got something important that I want to share with the world. Not because, I individually think that this is really important and I need a podium. No, that's the masculine approach to let me teach you. I am the authority on these things. With the feminine wisdom, it's like I described earlier. It wants to find a place to flow and make connection. And I should actually, I want to say that it isn't either or, masculine intelligence or feminine intelligence. And I think anyone probably listening to this, if you've gotten this far, you already know this, that it is the blend. And here's what was shown to me many times over the years, that, it all kind of comes together in these years now, when you can feel the acceleration. I'm like, oh, I get why. I understand now. Oh, okay, this is how that all comes together, It's epiphanies, it's revelations, it's all of that. It's just like, oh my God, I wish that I could have seen this view back then. It would have really helped me. But there's no way to see the view until you move into if you keep expanding, then you get the view. You have to move to get the view. I forgot what I was saying earlier. Oh, it is the combination. It is the blend. It is the wedding of first father and first mother. And speaking in Mayan cosmology terms, it is the wedding that. Now, this isn't coming from Mayan cosmology. This part is coming from the messages and the actual experience, that this is when the Christ energy is birthed through us. And that's what these masters, including Jesus Christ, were speaking of. Everything had to be in code. Everything had to be, let me speak in this parable and give you a wink, Well, you can see why ultimately. Why, just imagine 2,000 plus years ago and, what you could and couldn't say. And one of the things that the messages have hinted at is that this is basically a rescue mission for awakening the mother inside, so that this wedding can take place and the birth of Christ within us can occur. And, so Merry Christmas. I am not and never have been a organized religious person. So I'm using terms that are Christian because that's really all I know, because of the, the dogma that was, I wasn't invited to follow. I was told I would follow, religion when I was young. And then when I was old enough, it was bye-bye. This doesn't work for me. So I'm sure that there are mystical teachings. And I've been, obviously, I've been exposed to many, but I don't have the kind of brain that memorizes things and speaks them again. So this was drummed into me in my lived experience. So that's why I draw on it and use these terms. I would love it if there are other stories about this marriage, this union in other religions and teachings. I'd love it if you'd share it. Because I'm not saying there isn't any there. It's that this is all I know. Okay, I think I've talked that up enough. That's what this divine ecstasy is about, is you're feeling the birth of this Christ energy. A union is taking place. A reunion is taking place. And this is what happens at these end of cycle times. And I'm pretty sure that in the Bible references of what Jesus spoke, that, it was pointing to this time. These things and greater shall you do. And this is a direct communication that says you're going to rediscover who you are. You're going to find that you can do things. You're going to find gifts, right? There's the Christmas reference there too. Is this is all about the gifts that we have inside that we haven't unpacked because we're still refusing to feel and heal all of the past, not just this lifetime, but all lifetimes of the pain that comes from separation from this. And so this is our opportunity. This is a grand opportunity now. Even if you've never even thought about spirituality and religion and all that, it doesn't matter. It's your attention that is needed. It's your intention and attention. All it requires is enough present moment attention. And through the dialogue, which is how I have kept this flow going, I'm giving it my attention, and then intentions occur, and an agreement is made. Okay? It's like, all right, I'm the human part here. I need some input. This is nuts here. It's like, get me out of here. Oh, how many times I shouted that. It didn't even really make sense, Who am I talking to, before I truly understood in these later years. So I did not intend to weave this into a Christmas thing. I really didn't, I promise. It just happened. I may have shared this story before, but I was returning. I lived in San Diego, and I was driving down the freeway, leaving a Christmas party that was particularly painful for me. I'm not very good with small talk. And I'm not good in crowds. And I know that sounds surprising because I was a musical performer for so long. Well, not that long, relatively speaking. But I was crying. I just remembered that. I can feel it. It's like I'm experiencing it again. With my eyes closed, I can see it and feel it. And I was just crying and asking why I feel so different from other people and why I just don't know how to talk. I don't know how to say things and do things that everybody else does. And it was an ongoing issue in my life and caused some really awful, difficult lessons earlier in my life. But the presence started filling me in response to my kind of crying out. And it was I was like, okay, and this has happened before. This isn't the first time it's happened, but I'm driving on a San Diego freeway, southbound on I-5. And it was filling me and loving me. And I had to pull off the freeway. And I just wept with the ecstasy, sitting on the side of I-5. And it was like my weeping was my thank you. And then I heard, felt, knew. This is what Christmas is. This is what Christmas is about. So that party that I had, of course I wept more, gut-wrenching weeping of just being, of just the gift, There's that gift thing again. The gift of receiving this love that I'd already spent years of work, really, really attentive with my healing process, taking responsibility for all that I had, all the misunderstandings that had occurred in my life, correcting that, healing that, opening the vessel. So it was that same light, that same Christ energy, that same gold light that had filled me so many times. And it was saying, basically the energy of it, all I heard, knew word-wise, or, that was translatable in that moment was, this is the gift, this is Christmas. And then the realization that, the realization on my part that I was being validated for being unusual, for being different. And I was being validated by this divine presence. And that's who I want to be validated by. So, yeah, I'm willing to continue to be uncomfortable with being who I am in this world. The discomforts are there, of course, because I'm in full trust. You got to see that. If you're not already experiencing this the way I'm describing it, or, I'm trying to be as universal as possible in the description of it, because other people experience these connections in, a variety of ways. This is my way. This is how I explain it. And I respect others who explain it differently. I think it's exciting. The diversity in the divine human experience. So the point is it's a time of trust and faith, not in a religion, not in a articulated religion, but through connection, through that which is pre-articulated, that which is felt. Allow yourself to be lifted into this. Begin the conversation, begin the dialogue to reveal what it is that you actually feel. That's the power of the dialogue. You have to go deep. You have to say out loud what you're honestly feeling. And it takes a while to get there. It can. Trust that this flow is coming through many now. And the more that we can embody this and reveal it as a reminder, that this love can be visible, not in a podium platform business way so much, but just do the work. Show up and let this light flow into the world and change it. Change you and your world. Now, I'm not talking about changing this one world. I'm talking about you rise into, embody, and extend it into your reality, and you will find yourself living in a world that represents, frequency-wise, that, your state of awareness. It's when we doubt that we fall back into a past version of reality, because we just go, oh, this is crazy. I know everybody's telling me I'm crazy. Yeah, I agree. It's crazy. So I'm just going to fall back into this old world and come what may. No. This is the work now. Rise into this light. Embody it. This is embodied enlightenment. And what is enlightenment? In my experience, it's just a restoration of the natural state. It's not a special thing that sets these ones who've been touched and are being touched and changed and guided. It's not supposed to separate us. It's supposed to connect us. But we have to embody it to do that. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of information. Yes, that sounds, yes, your paper on the religious connection, it is astounding. And we'd like to offer you the professorship at our college. Sorry, sometimes I get a little carried away with my acting out the patriarchy. Both men and women are victims of this patriarchal approach. And you can stand up and give voice to your disappointment in it, but ultimately that is not the greatest thing that you can do to help. The greatest thing that you and I can do is to open up the vessel and let in your true power, your true voice, and live the true life of connection and demonstration of this light. That's what we get to do. We get to give this gift of who we are to those who receive it and welcome it and love it and are grateful for it. And, by that time we've already moved on and we're finding other connections. It's not about, the glory of, it's not about fame. It's not about attention to the persona. It is, where am I going now? Because it's the connection, the actual connection, and feeling This is the greatest thing, is feeling the flow of the divine coming through you. And you just find that you're saying things and things come to you that are important to say. And I think I alluded to this earlier, but it's magical. And then either that person or persons are going to recognize it and it's going to light them up and lift them, or they're going to be in their fear and they're going to go into their programming that says, we must stop this feminine energy because she's bad. We hate her, right? We hate her, right? I'm still waiting for my time to be a comedian that's relevant. I love comedy. Do you know they're the truth tellers? Well, not all of them, but there's some really special comedians who, just by speaking the truth, it helps so many people. They can get a feel for what truth feels like. Like, oh, you can tell the truth? I thought that was the scariest thing ever. So they're demonstrators. I have my favorites. But we're everywhere. We're embedded everywhere. And it's up to us to receive the gift from the divine, the opening again, and then pass these gifts along. That's what Christmas is. That's what this sacred holiday time is about. So, there you go. It is this flow that is that has been moving me to talk into this microphone and share it. And I resisted for a very long time. And there are even, YouTube videos that I made. They were public and I made them unlisted because I was it was way too vulnerable. And so there's so much more I want to share, but I'm not seeing the openings. I'm just getting blocks with an occasional receptive, aware, or at least just a receptive human being. And it's magical what happens. And it's not me. It's this light that loves and lives through me. And this is what the religious teachings are supposed to be rooted in. But there's just corruption everywhere now, in all of these systems. So you got to go within and you got to find that connection yourself. And it's not hard. It just takes courage and attention and intention. So I just want to say, may the light fill you, love you, and show you the way. In these holiday times, and in every new moment that you recognize, you have a new opportunity to remember and restore and connect with that which is the most glorious love. It can't be imagined with the mind. It has to be felt and welcomed. Thank you. I love you.